Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Good stuff.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not complaining yet.
All right.
Who's going to host
No.
today?
Me. Me is.
It's Eric's turn because he hasn't been on the show in forever.
Something like that. Process of elimination or whatever. All right. Me. All right. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast for the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 481, recorded on Sunday, March 15th, 2026.
Wishing I was at the gym. I'm Joe.
Oh, wow. Nice try. Getting blown all over the place. I'm Bill.
Oh, like that's
gonna
better.
Say, what am I looking at? I'm not even going to say it.
I hope I didn't
You don't want to know.
upload the notes like that to the website. That'll be interesting. Go check that out, folks.
I'm guessing you did. Hey, is that guy still on this podcast? I'm Eric.
Still don't like change. I'm Jim.
First up in the news, Mint Monthly News for March 2026. We've got a major redesign to Firefox, Chrome getting an upgrade, Debian 13.4, SUSE for sale again. Asus says MacBook Neo is shock. Oh, I thought he said it was no big deal. Okay, HBO Paramount merger. XFWL4 coming to XFCE, and more. In security and privacy, age verification coming to your Linux PC. Oh, Anthropic turns Claude loose on Firefox code. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. Please remember, if you want to follow along with our discussions, the full show notes for this episode are linked in the show's description. All right, first up in the news, we have Mint Monthly News for March 2026. And we have, making significant strides in the upcoming release, focusing on essential improvements for user experience and system functionality, while also highlighting the vital role of community support and donations in driving these developments. The core advancements include enhanced system monitoring and a completely revamped screensaver design for modern compatibility and reliability. Screensavers in 2026, we're still doing that, huh? Haven't had a CRT in a while. But I'm sure there's another reason other than burn-in.
Plasmas get burn-in too.
Who's got a plasma in 2026?
I just decommissioned my last one.
Oh, wow. I've never actually had one.
No, me neither. The viewing angles were always really weird.
Yeah.
The burn-in was really bad. I had the Mint logo in the middle of my screen.
They were bad when like businesses would buy them and use them as like displays.
Yeah.
and it would get burned in real bad.
Yeah, actually that's funny you mentioned that because we did have a few like that in like the lobby or something and they were terrible.
No, but the screensavers are also a good way to automatically lock your machine when you walk away from it. So I do see why we still have them.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. All right, so the breakdown of the key points from the... sorry, go ahead.
Jim had
on this laptop that I have, about burn-in, this is my opportunity to tell this amazing story. From 2012 to 2019, I rarely ran a screensaver, and it somehow developed burn-in right along the top, near the top of the screen where the Firefox, top bar would be. It developed a very noticeable burn-in right along almost the entire top of the screen where that like blue and black line would be from the top of the Firefox window, because that's usually on my computer. Now, it was really noticeable. Even if you like minimize Firefox and you were looking at the desktop, you saw this horrendous, streak of, discolored pixels up there. And I thought, okay, this is just something I have to live with, right? when I switched to Linux Mint in 2023, somehow that magically cured it. I don't know how, but that burn-in is gone after a number of days or a week or so. It just disappeared. And if you look at my laptop screen that I'm, chatting on you with right now in Linux Mint, it's perfect. Not a single discolored pixel. I don't know if there's an explanation for that, something about the graphics server or how it works, but yeah.
The burn-in doesn't go away on a plasma. It's there forever.
Well, this isn't I don't know. I guess it's an LCD laptop
Exactly.
screen.
We used to call everything a plasma, didn't we? When the widescreen TVs came out, they were all just plasma.
Yeah, we did. That's true. But that was those big panels. Yeah. Which actually had decent color. I remember the plasmas having like nice color if you had if you were at the right viewing
angle. That was the
angle
whole thing
stuff,
with them. Was the blacks were blacker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the refresh rates and there's some serious problems in burn-in and all that. So
I think it just wasn't worth the trade-off.
I think we need to get to the show.
We're getting there. So, all right. So here's the breakdown of the key points for this blog post. So system reports, the sensors page, a new dedicated page with the system reports tool will display all detected computer sensors. So that's like the LM sensors and all that stuff. Automatically refreshing values. This feature aims to help users monitor fan speeds and temperatures, aiding in troubleshooting power modes and battery life. New Cinnamon screensaver. The new Cinnamon release will feature a completely rewritten screensaver and integrating directly into Cinnamon rather than running as a separate process. This offers Wayland compatibility. Full support for the Wayland display server, a crucial step for future-proofing Cinnamon. Smooth transitions and native look and smooth animations for a more polished user experience. Improved reliability and privacy, enhanced session locking even if the screensaver itself encounters issues, prioritizing user privacy. Bug fix for random race condition, a long-standing, difficult-to-reproduce bug causing a brief desktop visibility. I've had this happen. Before the screensaver appears on resume has been identified and fixed in both the new and old screensavers, attributed to addressing underlying complexity. Simplified power management, and this is in the future. While the next release will maintain existing power options and offer compatibility with the old screensaver, future releases will streamline power and screensaver settings by deprecating outdated features inherited from older computing paradigms. The community financial support, the development is significantly supported by the community. So January donations, total of $37,896 was raised from 1,296 donors in January, indicating strong community backing. Patronage, Linux Mint is supported by 2,068 patrons, contributing $5,010 monthly, demonstrating consistent, ongoing financial assistance for the project. There you go. All right, and up next we have Jim.
Yes, this was something I read with some interest. According to this article on itsfoss.com, Firefox, my browser of choice, maybe yours too, is getting a major redesign after 5 years. Leaked mock-ups from Nova, quote-unquote, Firefox big user interface revamp that looks very different from what we have now. So Firefox Proton design has been around since 2021, and it's starting to show its age. According to this article, the interface is flat, uses a lot of gray, and this is very editorializing. It looks very dated in 2026. I guess that's up to the user to decide. But in any case, someone has shared on a blog, Soren Hensel, a full-stack developer, has shared some on his personal website that shows previews of what Firefox is working on. And the most obvious design change includes how rounded everything is.
Jim, where'd Jim go?
Jim has disappeared.
Poof, be gone. Well, I guess we can come
froze
back
up
to
and
his.
disappeared.
Oh,
Wait.
he's back.
That happened
Just thinking about
yesterday
it.
with Dale, and his power went out because of the wind.
Oh my.
I'm going to take this opportunity to shut. I'm going to shut down Craig because
me?
it's just.
Oh yeah.
We all got disconnected.
No, you got disconnected.
disconnected.
No, you
We're
did.
fine.
We were good.
Oh, just me?
Just you.
Just
Yeah.
me?
Mid
Okay,
sentence.
I'm back.
Just you.
Oh, okay. I don't see Craig anymore.
Yep.
Yeah,
I got
he's
rid of it.
Okay. Well,
Just
anyway,
using
I will
OPS?
continue where I left off. I was talking about if we're okay to continue. Firefox is a major design change. It's upcoming. It's something you can go to their Bugzilla section on their website and track it if it really concerns you. I personally don't necessarily like the idea of what I'm hearing, hence my comment about not liking change in the show intro. Much like the Cinnamon redesign, I think it should be possible for Firefox users to keep the old design or resist the urge to round everything out. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that was something that I read with some dread.
Yeah, they're saying its interface will adopt a highly rounded design for elements like tabs, address bar, toolbars, forming a floating island at the top. That's a really popular thing now, you know. Aesthetic refinements, so the flat colors are replaced with subtle gradients. We're back to gradients. You know, everything old is new again, I guess. Violet is the accent color. Enhanced user experience web content will be displayed with rounded containers. Oh, I see a pattern here, Jim. Yeah,
So
I don't know.
Well,
It takes these types of things when they're redesigning wholesale UIs. It's very difficult to just be able to pull it off all at once. So I strongly suspect that this is going to be a longer than a single release type of a change where people can opt in ahead of time and do some testing and stuff like that. And then at some point they may not want to support both, but I don't know. I kind of get the feeling this is going to be a long process, but maybe not. So, all right. Well, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So, Joe, go ahead on Google Chrome.
Google Chrome on Linux is getting the much-awaited upgrade. And now I'm going to disagree with that statement. This is not an upgrade, but that's what the article said. But this is something that should have been done a long time ago. Google Chrome is getting an ARM64 version. Now, I know previously
Thank
there was
God.
Chromium. Yeah. No, they needed it, especially for, you know, your Pi users and things like that. Plus, I think we're going to end up with more ARM-based laptops in the near future.
yeah.
I mean, but previously, I mean, people were using Chromium, but several years ago, Alphabet made it so that you could no longer use your login from Chrome on Chromium. Specifically because of your ability to use whatever extension you want to on Chromium, and they were busy locking that down on Chrome. So this will allow you to use everything you would on Chrome on an ARM device. So, yay!
Yeah. Well,
It's a good thing.
it is. It is. I mean, the truth is that this stuff all sort of filters down, and there are other browsers that a lot of us use that are based on Chrome and Chromium, and so if those things improve, then it's kind of like Ubuntu or Debian improving, and then everything downstream sort of improves as well. So
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
It actually mentions in the article Snapdragon-powered laptops, so I guess all of those were unable to use regular Chrome until now.
Has there really been like a dearth of those types of systems, though? I mean, it's been sort of a controlled trickle rather than a flood, I would say.
Yeah, but I think it's going to start happening more often going forward as well. ARM, the processors have gotten better, and they're still low cost and low power. So
Yeah.
hopefully we see
Yeah,
more.
no, the promise of it is amazing. I would love to have a Snapdragon or the equivalent ARM type of a processor. It's the complexity of ARM, every ARM device is, its own unique sort of slant on ARM itself, and has to be compiled for that, and just it's messy, right? It's just not as generalized as x86. Well, we'll see. So,
Yep.
all right. So, Bill, Debian 13.4.
Yeah, Debian 13.4 released with dozens of fixes, and this is just a quick little article in Phoronix, so I'll go ahead and just read the whole thing. Debian 13.4 rolled out today with dozens of security fixes and other general bug fixes with the updated install media for Debian 13 Trixie. Debian 13.4 fixes an HTTP/2 regression in the Apache HTTPD web server, fixing ZFS root identification for grub packages. Many package rebuilds due to a glibc update and various other bug fixes. There are dozens of security fixes affecting Firefox, Chromium, Thunderbird, GIMP, OpenSSL, OpenJDK, PostgreSQL, the Linux kernel, and other packages. Debian 13.4 downloads and more details via debian.org. And yeah, I had I tried to install this right before the show to have a quick look at it, and I couldn't get it to boot after it installed. But I was doing the install while I was doing like 3 other things at the same time. So
Yeah,
I had
but
seen
still,
another article on this that was saying there was like 120 different fixes for 13.4. So I don't know. Seems like good idea to keep your stuff up to date.
yeah,
yeah, I have, I have 13 on here, Trixie on this Latitude. So I'm wondering how that's gonna go from an upgrade, but it's GNOME on top of Trixie, so we'll see. Yeah. All right. So moving right along, Bill, you have the next one too.
Yeah, XFWL4, the roadmap for a XFCE Wayland compositor. This was originally a XFCE blog entry, but there's also a GitHub.io. It looks like they're working on a new. I suppose XFWL4 is going to eventually replace XFWM4, which is the window manager currently the default, and to the best of my knowledge always has been default on XFCE, which is interesting because XFCE is one of those things that just it holds on tight. It does it iterates very, very slowly, but the fact that they're getting Wayland support, that gives me some hope for the future of it, because it is still I run into people occasionally that their experience with computers in general kind of peaked with Windows XP or even Windows 7, and the closest thing we have to that is XFCE, in terms of just the way it looks and the experience of it. So I'm glad that I'll be able to offer this moving forward, because Mint has an official version in XFCE, and it's actually a pretty good version. So just looking over the entry here in their blog, it's a lot of work. The first attempt at creating XFCE Wayland compositor involved modifying the existing XFWM4 code to support both X11 and Wayland in parallel. However, this approach turned out to be the wrong path forward. So originally it looked like they was wanting to make something that would that would work with both, but now it's just going to be Wayland on this. I think it was OpenSUSE. They came out with a Lab WC or Live WC replacement for XFWM4 for their XFCE spin of OpenSUSE, which was kind of interesting because it was kind of an early attempt at getting Wayland working really well on XFCE. But I haven't heard anything from them since. I don't know how well their applications work on it. So, but yeah.
I'm pretty ignorant of XFCE. I mean, I've used it a little, but it's just not my cup of tea. So I've tended to stay clear of it. I mean, it's like Joe had mentioned on having on Mint having an extra desktop. You know, that's kind of how I see XFCE. It's like a utility. You know, I mean, it's not something I would use every.
I think it exists.
But if I had to
because
use it as a
people
desktop, I could.
People have been using it for 20 some years and just not willing to let go of it. And I think if the distributions that have been supporting it for years, if they ever did, they would lose a lot of. They would use a lot of users. Now, my hot take with XFCE has always been, if I was to rate the desktop environments in terms of configurability, number one would be KDE Plasma, number two would be XFCE.
There are things about it though that are still, I think, kind of more difficult than they need to be. Like a good example of that is if you need to change the colors, the theme, you have to go to multiple places to do it. And that kind of annoys me because you change it in one place, but then in order for the desktop integration, you have to go to a completely different area to choose the theme. And I don't know the terminology of their settings to be able to tell you exactly, but I know that that is the...
That's because there's this delineation between the desktop and because it's so modular. It's holding on to the old modular concept of anything Unix based, where you have to change separately the theming in the desktop and then the theming in the window manager, you know. But in later versions of XFCE and recent versions of XFCE, they've added a like a checkbox when you're changing the setting, the theme setting. There's a little checkbox now that says also change to the equivalent theme in the window manager. So that was kind of a nice touch because you're right, in the past you would have to change it there and then go to the window manager settings and change it there as well, you know. And I kind of thought when they switched over to GTK3 that some of that would go away, but I don't know, maybe some people like it that way. Some people like to mix up the theming, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people really enjoy, I mean, especially the people that like glacial change, you know, that just like literally never want to see anything change. You know, you have that muscle memory, you know.
Crying out loud, don't move my cheese.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think of Joe Resington as someone who's like a staunch, you know, XFC supporter. And, you know, there's just that type of personality that just says, you know, this is how I like it. I have it set up the way I want. Don't ever touch and mess with anything. And so, yeah, I can respect that. Not for me, but I can respect it. So. All right, then. So let's see. We've got SUSE may undergo another ownership change, Jim.
Yeah, I don't have any particular interest in SUSE, any of their distros. I've never tried it or used it, but I thought it was an interesting story because there's a potential $6 billion sale. That's billion with a B. According to Reuters, EQT, private equity firm, is exploring options to sell SUSE, the enterprise Linux vendor it took private in 2023. It's changed ownership in the past, and right now they are exploring options to change ownership again. And what I found most interesting about this story was, why is SUSE worth billions of dollars? do they have gigantic contracts with major corporate, like Fortune 100 or 500 corporations to install Linux? Like, what exactly is valuable about a Linux, the parent company of a Linux distro? I'm unclear on the economics.
Well, it's an
Yeah.
enterprise distro too, so it's got a business model much the same as Red Hat, where they do enterprise. I don't know what they do, like in real time. I know that they've got the enterprise offering, and they offer a lot of services much the same as Red Hat. They don't talk a lot. They're not a real dynamic company. I know they get sold a lot because we've
Yeah,
been hearing for
2003,
years.
2010, 2014, 2018.
Yeah, yeah. So it must be worth something to somebody, but it gets passed around an awful lot.
Yeah.
Ma-
So I mean the financials are, I mean it's if it's 6 billion, that would basically double the previous, which it went private for 2.9 billion in 2023. Um, and yeah, it's changed owners quite a bit, but it does have, pretty strong enterprise business performance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really so numerous
It,
Fortune 500 companies, that, I mean, they really do have the right type of customers, right? I mean, we talk about like gambling, what, 2% of gamblers pay for 100% of the profit, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like that too, with this enterprise contracts. I mean, you get in with the right businesses and they start to rely on your products. You don't have to worry about whether people on the desktop side of things or server side outside of those companies care at all about your products, because those are the people you're after in the first place. So,
yeah, and the article does mention that the separation between SUSE and OpenSUSE's governance will make sure that OpenSUSE, stays available to the public.
yeah, yep. And the project stability itself is, having OpenSUSE as the test bed, which this is a very similar analog to what, Fedora and Red Hat do. And
Well,
so, yeah.
what they did,
So,
I mean, they took away a lot of that with CentOS. So
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, SUSE itself does seem like it's funny because it is one of the oldest distros. I mean, I remember that was literally my concept of Linux back in the late 90s was SUSE. I mean, that was basically what Linux was to me, was the funny gecko and the green box that you could buy at right at the tech store. So and it was one of the first. I think it's probably the only boxed version of Linux I've ever purchased. Like
I remember getting
so,
that.
and
I remember getting the big thing and it folded out, and you had like, I don't know, 9 CDs in this thing, or
yep.
maybe 4 DVDs, and it came with the big book. And I don't remember what I paid for it. I think I bought it at Best Buy back in 2003 or something.
I think I paid about $40 for it, if
Yeah,
I remember correctly,
but it was
which
cool.
back then would have been closer to 100 or somewhere around there. But I think I may have bought Red Hat one time, as well. But yeah, I mean it had a certain, and back then, having the YAST, to deal with hardware and stuff like that. Like there were definitely some things about it that made it feel much more mature than a lot of the other offerings on the market. So I think for a while it really had a lot of the sort of mind share in the Linux realm, and just kind of has done its thing for all these years. And so still kicking,
I remember installing it, and I was happy with it. I thought, because in those days, oh my gosh, the machine I had was a Pentium 4, a Gateway 800 with a Pentium 4, 512 meg of RD RAM, which was that was a bit of a it was a proprietary type of RAM made by a company called Rhombus that they got sued into oblivion by the SD RAM people, um,
Hmm.
and an 80 gigabyte hard drive. And I remember installing this on there, and I loved it, but I was so disappointed because I was using AOL in those days to get on the internet,
Hmm.
and there was no, I couldn't work out how to get on AOL with Linux in those days, and I couldn't find any information on
Those
it.
those old modem connect strings and stuff, the dial-up strings and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
negotiation and all that. Yeah, that was fun. Mm. All right. Well, SUSE continues to defy the odds, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, so Joe, we have Asus MacBook Neo take.
Well, it's a shock to the PC industry, and I guess from a certain perspective, it kind of is. It's a MacBook Neo at $599,
I'm
which is
flabbergasted.
for a
I never thought I'd
MacBook,
see the
that's a
day,
really good
frankly.
price, right? Yeah, it's that's rather crazy price for a MacBook. But then I'm also seeing that it's got like 8 gigs of soldered on RAM, so there's no upgrade for that there. Um, they are calling the pricing disruptive, and it does look like that several other companies, Microsoft, Intel, and AMD, are considering ways to be competitive with it. But Asus is saying that there's limited appeal for it, specifically mentioning the 8 gigabytes of soldered on memory, and it's basically meant for content consumption rather than compute intensive tasks, very much like an iPad as opposed to laptop. There has been a lot of positive reviews. It's got an outstanding score for basic computing and light gaming, and pre-orders are already causing shipping delays all over the place. And the article goes on to mention how with the memory shortage caused by AI, a lot of companies are going to have to increase their prices and find different ways to sell laptops, and so maybe less RAM is going to have to be the go-to for a while. So,
Well, this could come down to expectation too, right? I mean, if you can run Mac OS, which if people are into that, if that's what you have been using and you're used to, that sort of checks a box, right? And that it keeps you in the ecosystem. It doesn't have an M series processor, so it's got more of like the phone, mobile type processor. So that's sort of a knock against it. Yeah, 8 gigs of RAM. Although I could argue that Mac OS does okay with 8 gigs. If you're not doing something that's terribly memory intensive, you really can get away with it. But this is the disappointing side of this would be for everyone who ever has an experience with a MacBook, whether it's a MacBook or a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. Those are all capable machines. I mean, even the MacBook Air, which is supposed to be like the lesser of them with an M series chip, is a pretty beastly machine. And so, they would have greater capabilities, and you would expect, okay, I'm picking up an Apple laptop. This is going to be a powerhouse. And then you get this, and it's not quite that. So, not that it's terrible, again, if you're setting the expectations properly. And honestly, too, if you got a 8-year-old, a 9-year-old that just needs a computer, and the choice is something like a Chromebook or a Windows PC or something, and it's like, well, you know what, for $600, if they can have a Mac OS based computer that is going to have I'm sure the keyboard is reasonably decent, the touchpad's probably pretty good, it's going to be a Apple piece of hardware.
Yeah,
just that the internals
I'm not overly interested in Mac OS, or at all, really. But I am interested in the fact that this is going to have, an Apple screen on it, because they always do an excellent job with the screen. So even if it's only running like 8 gigs of RAM, I can either install something light on it, and you said it's the non-M processor, so it's probably going to be a little bit easier. And then either use it as a thin client or just use it for lighter stuff. I mean, 8 gigs is still pretty good. There isn't.
Well, and listen, if your kid's in school, the truth is that almost everything they do, probably everything they do, is web-based. So as long as you can have, whatever browser your school requires, and probably going to be like, Chrome or something like that, as long as you can have that running well enough, and that might be the limitation of the 8 gigs of RAM, is that the browsers themselves tend to be a little heavy, hungry with memory, but
Chrome's going to eat 8 gigs turning on.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. So maybe Safari in this case would be the better choice, except that Safari is not necessarily universally accepted in terms of like education software and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's quite an experiment. Like I said at the outset when we started talking, I never thought I'd see the day. I mean, this is like Steve Jobs rolling over in his grave, but maybe
MacBook
this is going to be
less than $1,200.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not done, right? And here we are. So,
I think it's interesting because it might be an attempt to reverse course on the long-running trend at this point of young people only using a phone or a tablet and not having a laptop. So I think I have no interest in Mac anything personally, but I think it's clever on their part because it will keep people not only in the Mac ecosystem, it may even bring some PC people who, might have an iPhone or use computers at school or work to buy their first computer or buy a computer for their kid, that's actually a laptop with a keyboard rather than just living with a phone or a tablet alone. So,
well, and the truth is that if you get a phone, it's going to be $1,000 or close to it.
right.
iPad, same deal, unless you're getting the cheapest iPads. And so, this is kind of in that same vein where it's like an iPad with a good keyboard and a touchpad, and it's more usable from that standpoint. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm just surprised to see it,
I mean,
So
if I get a tablet these days, I'm going to get one that's running a proper operating system, and I'm going to have it with a detachable keyboard, much like, the one Eric has just showed a few minutes ago. So
yeah.
But that's just me.
Detachable keyboard. Yep. All right. So, Jim, we are on to HBO Max and Paramount Plus. Hooray.
Yeah. Yes, big story in the news recently. This article from tomsguide.com, HBO Max and Paramount Plus will soon merge into one mega streaming service. The combined offering will host more than 200 million total subscribers. Since last week's bombshell news that Warner Brothers Discovery accepted Paramount's merger offer, Paramount CEO David Ellison shared in an investor call that the plans are already underway to merge Paramount Plus and HBO Max into a single streaming platform. However, they do continue on that the HBO brand will be treated and operate with independence, according to the article. And so,
at least for the first 3 months.
Well, I imagine they're going to kind of do like what they're doing with Hulu, Disney. There's different brands under the same streaming platform. So, yeah, although we are getting a lot of consolidation. We're going to be back to fewer and fewer streaming services. So, whether that's good or bad, I think it depends on how you look at it. Some people might be happy to get both things under one. Others might see the consolidation as bad for the industry and the creative output of the industry with less buyers and people competing to make new series and things like that. So it has its positives and negatives, no doubt.
I think
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
It's going to go back to some of the cable paradigms where you're paying for a lot of stuff that you're not watching. And so the prices are going to be higher because this is all merged together. Well, you could watch HBO Max. Well, you could watch Paramount movies. But all I wanted was the CW stuff. So I don't know. Is it a good thing? It's good that Disney has some competition, but I'd have preferred the merger to have happened with Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was a lot of fear around that, though. You know,
In the
I,
industry.
I think the consolidation in general is a kind of a, I don't know, it's a bad idea in a lot of ways for consumers. I think it's going to put us right back in the same situation where we're paying a monolithic price for a monolithic product that we don't take advantage of. I mean, that's how we always felt with cable. You watch 3 or 4 channels and pay for 300, and most of them were channels you would never ever watch. So it's, what was the point? And that was the beauty of streaming services, was you could be very hyper focused and say, okay, I want this, this, and this because those are the things I'm interested in, and not all the other stuff. So now we're sort of rounding the corner back to where we started, and I don't think that's by coincidence in the slightest. I think this is, by design. I think we're in a time, where pro business is very much the order of the day, and nobody's going to stand in the way of these mergers, and it's just kind of the way it's going to be. And I think, unfortunately, it's probably going to mean that prices are going to go up. I mean, if you think about the Amazon Prime went to advertise supported, whether you liked it or whether you were a Prime subscriber or not. And if you wanted no ads, it was an extra $2.99 a month. I just got an email. I'm one of the suckers that pays that because I hate ads that much.
I do too.
That it's going up to $4.99. So they're basically, you know what I mean? It's just like you get it, you keep bleeding that rock, and like it's like I just and I'm stupid. I'll keep paying it because and the dumb thing is I end up watching my own stuff on Plex or like, I have a very sort of YouTube, like I'm watching basically free stuff, and I'm paying for Hulu and and Prime. I mean, Prime is a throwaway anyway because you're already paying for Prime for the shipping on Amazon, so it's kind of a you're getting it as a matter of course. So I think that's why it makes sense for them to do the advertising supported, and then have you add on the $5 or, well, $3 it had been, and then but Hulu is the same way. The basic package is all ad supported, and if you want the no ads, then it's almost twice as expensive. Except I just can't. I abhor ads. Like, I just can't handle it. I know a lot of people that watch those, like Pluto and all those channels where it's you watch 5 minutes of something and then 2 minutes of commercials, and I just I just
don't
can't
know
do
about
It's so
I don't know
interesting
about
'cause
you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because people in our age group, we grew up watching TV with lots of ads. That was just part of the reality,
But they were planned, and you knew if it was a half-hour program when those ads were going to be. If it was an hour program, you knew when they were going to be. It was all very cleverly calculated. All of them, all of the channels did it simultaneously, so it was just all agreed upon. Now, if you're watching a movie, it just decides it's going to cut mid-scene.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
what the
Yeah.
hell? I
No,
was, you know what I mean? And it's like the
YouTube.
cliffhanger moment, and like, oh, here's an ad for pet food or something. You're like, whew.
YouTube has been bad. I mean, I'll pull up like a 5-minute video, and then there will be 2 ads in a row, averaging
yeah.
15 seconds
No.
each. And then you click the skip to get back to what you were watching, and then 30 seconds later, they're back into an ad. I guess it's because you skipped the first ones. So I don't know. YouTube has gotten very bad with
I
their
definitely
ads.
pay for YouTube to get rid of that.
Joe, I'm very disappointed to hear that you're seeing ads. How you know you have to know better.
I was using uBlock Origin for the longest time. I need to switch to Firefox to watch everything on YouTube is what I need to do, and then I won't have to deal with it because
Why
I can have
wouldn't
whatever.
you be doing that anyway?
Because I've been using Chrome for a long time. It's my own fault. It's my own fault. I understand this, but for the longest time, I was able to use uBlock Origin and local ad blocker and things like that. And now, if I do that, YouTube is like, if you keep doing this, we're going to block you.
Yeah.
Go ahead there, hero.
Yep.
But if I'm
Well,
watching on my phone, I don't get ads.
Yeah, and there are ways around it, and yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I simply pay for the YouTube premium, and I
Me
don't
too.
care because I'd rather just support the creators. Like that's the advantage for my family is that we all get it, and the money we pay in is more fairly divided than ad revenue is. So I mean, for the creators, it's actually a better deal. For us, it's a good deal because we don't see ads. And and yes, you grew up with ads. It was a matter of fact. You just kind of dealt with it. It just was part of watching television, and in some respects, because you couldn't pause it, it gave you that sort of inbuilt break that you might need to go to the bathroom or get a snack or something like that because it was real time. Versus now, everything's you can pause. Unless you're doing one of those stupid like live TV things from like Plex and Samsung and all that, which they're not live in case you're wondering. So it's that's just that like forced commercial platform. But yeah,
If I want to
we're in that,
support
and
a
I don't mean to get
creator,
off on like what's that?
if I want to support a creator, I'm going to go buy some of their merch.
That's true. But I'm not going to do that for everybody I watch. Whereas that's kind of what makes it fair, I think, for the
Remind me,
YouTube
where can I go
premium
get a
is.
mintCast T-shirt?
Yeah,
I know a
that's
guy.
true.
I know a guy. They exist.
But I don't know if you guys have been following some of the new developments and like the way we're thinking about, or it's being described the age we're in. But I like this concept of we're in the age of extraction now, where we've sort of gone through the enshittification and all of the things that we've seen over the last few years where things were built with the user in mind and then they were built with the business in mind, the advertisers, and now they're built with the company behind the product,
I have been
the
following
Facebooks and
that. Yeah.
Amazons, all that. And so the latest sort of a take on this is, well, that's because we're now in the age of extraction where we're out of alternatives. Everything's a monolithic service that
Yeah.
has no competition, and basically they're just going to put the screws to everybody and suck out as much, revenue and profit as they can until everybody just gets sick of it. And then what? I guess we reinvent ourselves at some point. I don't
Again.
know. Yeah, exactly. So I don't mean to go off on like a wild tangent here, but yeah, the Age of Extraction Tim Wu's an author that's done a lot of like work on the internet and like the trends and the that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I very firmly, if you look at it from the standpoint of like how these businesses are treating us, everyone now uses Amazon. So guess what? Amazon is an awful place to buy things because of the way they treat everybody, So, and they don't even, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even get packages on time half the time anymore. Stuff doesn't show up and it's like, oh, well, it'll be here tomorrow instead. It's like, well, I pay for Prime for a reason, like, so, anyway. Enough of
Fight the
that.
power. There's ways to fight the power. You would be shocked by the amount of people that just through inertia. I mean, look at Joe. He's a tech savvy, yet he's watching ads. And I saw a Reddit thread recently where thousands of replies, people complaining about the ads on YouTube, and the average person does not know how to block them. I mean, but we're not the average people. I don't want to aspire to be average, and I know better. And I tell everyone in my life to fight the power, block those ads. Don't watch the commercials. I get offended when I hear that they do. So I want to do everything in my power to help them.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And it is pretty straightforward, I think, in a lot of ways to be able to do it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to add an extension or something like that if they're using their computer. It's a little harder on mobile devices. People who are on Android that are using the Chrome browser blow my mind because it is such an awful experience trying to read web pages on mobile with all those ads in them. I mean, it's like there's
Madness.
this much room for the content and it's all the rest of it is ads. So that's where I use Vivaldi or, Brave or something like that because it's just a much better experience. But apparently very few people do if you look at the usage statistics. So, oh my. All right, well, that was the end of the news. We're going to move into the security and privacy. And first up, we have Jim.
Yeah, this is an ongoing story. We've talked briefly on a previous show about it, but age verification laws are multiplying like a virus, and your Linux computer might be next, reads the very startling headline from itsfoss.com. And they are right. As of today, about half the U.S. states have some form of age verification law around. 9 of these were passed in 2025 alone. California's Digital Age Assurance Act has made headlines recently. It's got massive coverage, come January 1st. 2027, every OS provider must collect a user's age and account setup and provide that data to app developers via a real-time API. Whether that's feasible or whether that's going to actually happen remains to be seen. But in the meantime, it's not just California. Colorado is working on a near identical bill. A number of other states are, and foreign governments. The UK is very heavy-handedly got back into this back in 2023 with their own version, the Online Safety Act. Australia in December 25 with a ban on social media accounts for those under 16. Brazil's gone even farther. The Digital Statute of Child and Adolescent comes into effect on March 17th, 2026. And explicitly names operating systems and app stores by definition. Other countries around the world, it goes on and on and on. You would think, I'm not a conspiracy person, but man, you would think that there was a cabal of world leaders, oligarchs, billionaires, and the evil masterminds who really run things that were behind this, putting in a coordinated effort to impose some kind of new world order onto the world. And I mean, this can't be a coincidence that all of this is happening.
Where they just get handed all your information just because you got online that one time.
Yeah, so this is obviously going to be an ongoing story. I'm telling you, I absolutely refuse. Just like I'm avoiding ads, I will avoid age verification. I will wear a ridiculous mask if they allow me to do a Face ID. I will use a fake ID. I'm not signing up for it, and I think everyone else should do the same. Most people won't; they'll just go along with it. But yeah, it's very concerning.
They're talking about setting this up for when you install your OS. But you know what? Who installs OSs in a house?
Not that many people. That's the thing.
Well, I was just going to ask.
We do, though.
What if all it is when you install Linux, there's a box where you tell it your age? Is that enough to?
Like an age
bracket? It might start out being enough, but I guarantee it won't end up being
because
enough.
That's what the California thing is basically amounting to, is just telling it your age group when you install. And yeah, I mean,
right, and
I'm of two minds with that, because it's a slippery slope, no doubt, but at the same time, it's like, well, number one, I don't see how it can be enforced with an open source operating system, and even if it is enforced, it can't reasonably be enforced, because there's no way to know whether or not. I mean, you could make things to circumvent it, and then not just circumvent it, but to fake it too, so
how is this guy 167 years old?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make a script to give it a different age every hour of the day. I just don't see how the whole thing. I think it's a lot of talk by people who want to be seen as taking steps to do something about. I mean, CSAM is a big problem, and the abuse of children in other ways online is a huge problem. And I think people who don't know what they're talking about want to be seen as taking steps to do something. So we come up with these ridiculous solutions that have no hope whatsoever of attacking the root problem, and it gets put out there, and then it just quietly goes away.
If you publicly lit every pedophile on fire, then eventually people would stop being pedophiles.
Yeah, I mean, let's do something about that.
I think it comes down to the idea that a certain constituency that needs to feel as though they're being served. They see very specific little things happen, or trends or whatever, and they have very little understanding of how any of it works. They don't understand how the technology works. The lawmakers don't understand. And basically, all they're going to end up doing, and we've seen this in the UK because I've talked to some people about the bans they've put in place over there, which are literally you just say, yes, I'm of age, like Bill's saying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually prove anything. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't address the issue. All it does is somebody's bureaucratic sensibility somewhere is tickled the right way, that they've done something about it, right? They didn't actually do anything about it, but they did something about it. You know what I mean? So,
I don't think it actually tickles that for them. I think what it does is it gives the perception to their voters that they tried.
Well, that's what I
do
mean.
something.
That we're taking steps. It starts
Exactly.
with this, and they can.
We're
I mean, it's
thinking
just
about
like
your kid.
it's just like
Yeah.
think about the idea that, like, we have, who's controlling the sale of controlled substances like alcohol and tobacco, right? You've got a store clerk who may or may not, take their do the due diligence of like checking IDs, and yes, there's penalties in place if they get caught serving a minor or, selling a tobacco product or whatever. But the truth is, kids are drinking alcohol, they're smoking cigarettes, and the truth, they can get it in different ways. It doesn't just have to be that store. It doesn't just have to be that website. It doesn't have to, and that's the truth. That's always been the case, is that you put these broad, sweeping sort of changes in place that make it appear as though something's been done. You pacify and placate the people who are yelling the loudest. And the truth of it is that there is a pretty simple way to get around a lot of this stuff. And, when I was a kid and I was smoking when I was 16 years old, like, I just knew what clerk would sell me cigarettes. And like, when they were there, I was like, hey, great, I'll just go buy cigarettes. You know what I mean? It's like, they're just kids, especially kids are going to figure out ways to get around something they don't like, right? They're smarter than you think they are. And so I think a lot of this is...
I'm going to pin you right there, because we have a YouTube comment that is actually very pertinent to this. 014047 says, and you choose to smoke. You literally can't choose to not touch an OS ever. And that's very valid. In this modern time, you can't, basically, if you want to live, you have to get on a computer, you have to get online. It's the only way to do things like.
But then,
get
so
a
what?
job.
We're saying you can't ever use a computer in a shared space like a library. You can't ever, buy a computer that was used because it was registered to someone else. You can't ever. All I'm saying is there are infinite ways to get around, like, the way that they're trying to enforce these things, right?
Right, but no, he was just mentioning the fact that you do have to get online eventually, so you do need to get on a computer, but you get to choose whether or not to do age-appropriate things like smoke and drink.
Sure. I mean, I don't disagree, but I don't think that actually is like all that relevant to what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I mean, I can't like argue that point, but like that was just like a minor aspect to it. Like I was.
The point is that you don't get to choose whether or not to use a computer, because eventually you have to. If you're going to school in any country really anymore, you're getting online, which means you're getting on a computer.
Right.
So you have to. And if they're going to enforce this whole registration, and if it's more than just a checkbox, which eventually I think it will be, then it's going to be a major problem. It's not something that you can really opt out of.
No, but it's also not something that they are equipped to do anything about. Like, even if they put into law, right now that this thing should be the case. Like, think about the half of the states in the United States right now that have mandated some sort of age verification for adult, content. how is that actually being carried out? Is the government put something in place? Are there resources? That they have companies identified? No. There's an open marketplace for the companies that choose to even play ball. Like, think about Texas and other states like that. The major players in the adult entertainment space have said, we're just not going to do business there. It's not worth it because we don't trust. We don't. First of all, we don't want to abuse our users because we're not. We don't trust that these third parties are going to do the right thing with age verification. It's hugely expensive and completely, it doesn't actually fix the problem. And so they've just said we're not going to do it, and I think that's exactly what the lawmakers wanted them to do. They never expected there to be an efficient working model of like how to actually do age verification. They just wanted to push the right people hard enough that they just said, we're done. And I think so in that sense, that's a win. They can just say, well, look, now this major platform, that's, adult content is not, if you go to them in Texas, it just says, sorry, we can't show you
Are you
anything because
saying
you're in
that I
Texas.
can't? Are you saying that I can't watch porn if I'm in the state of Texas?
That's correct, sir. But only for
Okay.
the reputable websites, only for the ones that actually pay attention and care. There's 100,000 other ones that couldn't care less.
There's only one
Who
that
are
you
they
need
gonna?
to know. There's only one that you
Yeah.
need to know, and it's Bing.com.
X.
There is that. Well, that's the truth because what does it come down to? A certain percentage of the content of a site has to be met in order for it to be considered an adult site. Except that, to Joe's point, go to a search engine and turn off, the whatever the safe search. Yeah, turn safe search off and search for anything related to that type of content. And what do you know? There it is. So. But of course, Google's never going to get sued for it. So, or Bing.
Or Microsoft.
So, yeah, it's going to be the people that they don't like. So, yeah. Anyway,
We've gone on a rant
how
here.
long does it take?
we have.
How long does it take to set up a VPN?
Well, that's the other thing, right? The technical-minded people immediately thought of that and went, "Oh, yeah, well, I guess it doesn't really apply to me because I'm smarter than the average bear or something." I don't know. Oh my! All right, well, off to our next favorite topic, which is AI. Hooray! Anthropic found a heap of Firefox security flaws using new Claude tools. Do you believe it? So Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 large language model has demonstrated significant prowess in identifying security vulnerabilities, successfully uncovering 22 flaws, including 14 high-severity ones, in Mozilla's Firefox browser during a 2-week collaboration. This achievement highlights AI's accelerated human-like reasoning capabilities in cybersecurity, proving it can effectively detect critical issues in complex and well-tested software without specialized tools, thereby marking a major leap in vulnerability detection and cyber defense. And numbers of tickets submitted to to people's bug trackers. So they're claiming that this Opus 4.6 identified the 22 vulnerabilities, 14 classified as high severity. It uncovered a fifth of the high severity vulnerabilities Mozilla fixed in all of 2025 in just 2 weeks. It used human-like reasoning, which these new reasoning models, that is supposedly like the change in them is that it comes up with an answer and then reasons it out to see if that answer is plausible or not. So apparently that made a difference. And then the model operated out of the box, requiring no task-specific tooling, custom scaffolding, or specialized prompting. And Firefox was chosen due to its complexity and reputation as a well-tested, secure open source project, validating the AI's capability on a challenging target. So, I mean, it's obviously like a marketing piece, but it is also, if it is truly helping to identify security flaws, good. Good that Firefox or Mozilla took it seriously and fixed them. And also it shows that all software has bugs, right? It is just the nature of software. Nobody can account for all of the possible permutations of how, software can be used and misused. And so it's like getting a different pair of eyes or a different perspective on the system. And if you look at it in just the right light, well, here's these 22 flaws we didn't notice before. So I'm actually surprised it didn't find more. And that's not to knock Mozilla or the developers. It's just that you would think maybe the AI would be able to run through so many potential scenarios and, really very rapidly knock, at every possible, attack vector or whatever that you might expect to see more than 22. So 22, probably not that bad in the grand scheme of things. So
I'm really conflicted with this because on one hand, the whole AI filing bugs thing, that's been a problem for a few projects out there, and I'm aware of that. But at the same time, I am a bit of a fan of Anthropic, mostly because of what they've been in the news for lately, telling the government to go take a long walk off a short pier. They seem to be I won't say the only responsible company in AI. I would say the most outwardly responsible, seemingly so, with their technology. They've recently been in the news for refusing to give Department of Defense full unfettered access to their technology to put in all of their war machines, and I'm okay with that. Probably shouldn't talk too much about that, but yeah,
let's avoid the politics on that one because I could go off for a while, and we don't want that.
It could go the wrong way. But if it's coming up with useful information, and then to take it a step further, if it can actually be used as a tool to help find solutions to some of these bugs, then that I guess I can be positive about it in that way. AI's here, kids. There's no point in fighting it. Honestly, it's you can either jump on the train or get railroaded. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all the white collar jobs are gone.
Yeah. Never had a white collar job, so I don't know. Off we go.
Well, I think that it's a tool, right? That's what we're coming up with here. Is that the more we use this stuff, the more we recognize its strengths and weaknesses, and also the more specialized that these tools become, the more that they're like applied to certain specific domains and cases and stuff like that. And as I honestly think, as long as there's enough competition in the space, like if you have Anthropic, you've got OpenAI, you've got all of the different players, that at least there's not one controlling stake. So competition, I think, kind of keeps everybody honest to a certain degree. And if we start seeing some serious buyouts and monopolistic practices in this realm, I think that could be a big problem. And
It'll happen
the other
eventually.
thing, well, potentially, but the other thing I wanted to mention is this is also a good example of how open source software and the transparency of the code, and the fact that these security flaws were found because it is open source. For all we know, there's something in the Adobe Cloud or like every other piece of like highly proprietary software that we can never ever see the code to, that you can't, or we can't. Maybe the companies themselves, obviously, who have the source code, are using Anthropic tools or anything like that, and maybe they're correcting their own bugs. But the fact that Firefox and Mozilla use this tool and found these bugs and fixed them and was transparent about it is, I think, what, makes open source a positive thing, one of those things that makes me want to keep using open source instead of something closed. So, it always looks bad when you kind of say, well, gee, there's that many bugs or that many high severity issues. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's because we're able to see that. Like, think of all the things that we don't see, 0 days and all the rest of it, that from disclosure standpoints, we never see that, but they're from very important software that we use on a regular basis. So anyway, that's everything on that and in security and privacy. So we're going to jump to check this out.
Okay, I've got an item that I found recently. Those of you out there probably are all aware, and you probably all use YTDLP to download videos from either YouTube or many other websites. It's the most popular and very powerful command line program. It has been around for a long while. It's available on pretty much every operating system, and it is phenomenal. In recent months, though, YouTube in particular has been really thwarting it. They've been doing all kinds of things to prevent this very powerful and popularly used program from easily downloading videos. Everything from forcing you to log in, forcing you to identify your cookies, or either extract the cookies from your browser and point to the file. They also don't like when you're using a VPN now. So it's one thing after the other. And then the latest step that I've run into problems trying to download videos with is that there is now they're requesting, there's some kind of challenge that you're supposed to answer, like one of those captchas. Now, of course, you can't do this in the command line. You now need some kind of program, hooked up to your command line install of YTDLP to solve that capture for you. So it's just becoming harder and harder.
Are you a robot?
Yeah, it's becoming harder to successfully download videos from YouTube in particular.
I haven't even been able to download my own shows that I put up.
Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, I've managed to keep up with most of these changes. I figured out how to use the little, again, this is a terminal command line program, so you use little switches, like hyphen, cookies from browser, or hyphen, cookies. I mean, there's all these different techniques, right? So I've managed to keep up on top of them, but now the latest one just adds a whole nother layer of complication. So in the meantime, there's a great number of websites out there that purport to be able to download videos from YouTube. I know we're on YouTube here, so hopefully this isn't a problem, but most of them do not work anymore because they all use YTDLP as their backend, just like video programs all use FFmpeg as their backend. All these different websites are just a graphical front interface for YTDLP. However, I did find one that somehow is still working. It managed to download a multi-gigabyte file from YouTube for me in a matter of minutes. I was very impressed by it. Don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe I shouldn't even be sharing it, but it is app.ytdown.to, and when you're having trouble with YTDLP, that is a cool website to bookmark, and it managed to download my video just the other day after I struggled mightily, muttering and cursing, trying to get YTDLP to download this video, and then I started going to the GitHub and trying to figure things out, and realized I had to install this extra software, and all these other people were complaining it didn't work for them. Maybe YTDLP developers will solve it, make it easier for us, but in the meantime, bookmark that website. Hopefully I don't tell too many people and ruin it.
the YTDLP guys are usually pretty good about
Yeah.
coming out with a fix, updating things as quick
It's
as
not
YouTube.
worked for me in almost a year now for
Yeah.
downloading 3FET
A lot of
trackers or
time-
anything else.
Yeah,
You have to,
same here.
you have to go to their repo and get their version of it, and
Oh, really?
that'll usually make things. Yeah, or at least that's the way it used to be. I haven't used them in like 5 or 6 years now, but that's what
Gotcha.
it was back then.
I'm using the the PPA, and I'm not sure if that will work for me. I may have to download it through a different method.
The Snap is made by the lead, the guy on Late Night Linux, Graham, and he's a big part of that project. So that's always up to date. The package in Arch Linux is always up to date. None of them work for me anymore. This thing that Jim shared, the first time I tried it to download one of my own doggone shows off of YouTube, worked without a single hiccup. And it's the
Right.
first thing I've seen in a long time that actually, because my workflow has been lately to, if I need to download something from YouTube, is to use NewPipe on my phone to download it and then move it somewhere. You know, if I need to
Right.
on the PC, move it that way. This thing just works, and it's fantastic. Good find.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple that I know of that I can use. That usually have the same thing you're saying, Jim. They have a GUI built around them, and it's usually YouTube DL. But there are some that have their own solution, and there can be hit or miss because it is definitely a game of escalation, between the developers and YouTube. So, yeah, I mean, there must be something more to it. Because you can still download from YouTube. I mean, it's not like it's a secret how to, download the files. It's just there must be like the advertisers or the fact that the intellectual property agreements that are in place. Like there just must be something bigger than they care about random people downloading. It's got to be like, well, if they download it, then that
they work awfully hard stopping us from doing it.
But that's what I mean. Like by watching it in their platform, it's covered by their agreements. But as soon as you let someone download it, then it changes because technically you can watch things offline in their client, which is it's downloading it to your device, but it's not like it's just an open file. So,
It still relies on it existing. I've frequently downloaded videos that I suspect or know will be pulled for various reasons and may not exist 3 days from now. So I want to grab it now. Plus, not to mention, I just take umbrage when they're thwarting me, when they're denying me. I will start figuring out. I will go to all the technical
Absolutely.
forums and try to figure it out because I do not want to have that ability taken away from me. I'm not letting you stop me. If I have to spend hours dicking around and experimenting and figuring it out, I will. You're not going to take that ability away from me. Same thing with the ads. There's always a way.
I'm kind of surprised that DuckDuckGo is allowed to get away with if you search and then there's a video tab that you can watch in the browser and there's no ads, there's no tracking, there's no, that seems like it would be against terms of service and. But there's definitely some players that are doing certain things that do, provide and certain of extensions and add-ons and things that, strip out ads and make it so that the way YouTube intends their content to be delivered gets subverted in some way. So, yeah. Anyway. All right, Joe, what about this Vogon poetry?
Well, I was nerding hard earlier, and Bill and Eric had no clue what Vogon poetry was, so I decided.
Shame us publicly.
Yes,
Fine.
that's right. That's right. It is shameful that you don't know what Vogon poetry is. So there's a link in the show notes to go read up on what Vogon poetry is.
I want
and I highly recommend.
everybody that's in the YouTube comments right now to sound off whether or not you've heard of this Vogon poetry thing.
And be honest, don't go searching for it until you.
Yeah, I gotta know.
Yeah, because everyone should know what Vogon poetry is.
Well, I do now.
Right. That's it. We've been taught our lesson. Oh gosh.
And feel free to say on the on the YouTube if you don't know what it is. Just
Nobody's
let us
saying
know.
nothing.
That's
Right?
right.
They all quit
Nobody knows
talking.
a thing.
Nobody wants to be first.
Oh my. Yeah.
Yes, it is, Mark. Good job.
Yeah, and I think I could have picked that up from the website too, because right there in the top says Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Oh my. All right. Well,
Is
is
that what
go ahead.
made it like popular to you, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Because that is that what got you started into it or interested in
Dude,
it?
Vogon poetry isn't actually a thing. It's just mentioned several times in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as being so horrible that it will melt your brain.
Oh,
Okay?
now I know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to avoid that.
Yeah. So definitely read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's
Best
it.
5-book trilogy you'll ever come across. Or is it 6 books now?
You haven't got book
All
7
right.
yet?
6, 7. Uh-huh.
Ah.
Oh, wait. Here's a good one. So there's this British saying that's all 6s and 7s. Have you ever heard that?
No.
So we went to see this Agatha Christie play last week, 2 weeks ago, and we're sitting there, and this one character says, like, she's been, confused or like mixed up all day, and she goes, "Oh, I've been nothing but 6s and 7s," and it's something I've heard before, but I immediately look across at my daughter and go, she's like, "Shut up." Yeah. Fun.
Too bad
Anyway,
Monty
all right.
wasn't
Well,
here.
yeah, he would have
loves
enjoyed
that.
that. I'll make sure I tell him next time I see him. Oh my. All right. Well, that is the end of Check This Out. We're going to move on to housekeeping and announcements. I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of mintCast. If you see something that you think we should be talking about, tell us. Send us an email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Discord and Telegram. The next episode will be 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Sunday. Get the time converted to your time zone. There's a link in the show notes. Were we supposed to have a date in there, or just we're
Yeah, I
saying
think we
Sunday
were.
now?
And I just always assumed
Yeah.
somebody else was doing that. Oh well.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be some Sunday coming soon. Unless you just want to tell me what it is now.
I can bring up a calendar. Let's see. It will be
The 22nd or the 29th?
29th. Well, no, roundtable will
Okay.
be 22nd. The next episode will be the
Okay.
29th.
All right. So the roundtable stream, yeah. So
21st.
Okay.
The round table.
21st.
yeah,
is the
sorry, yeah,
roundtable.
21st, and that's actually in there. So, all right. We'll correct that. It'll be in the show notes. So
This is how bad we
Um,
need Londoner.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're helpless, completely hopeless. We did manage to fill in the news items though, after much like zooming in and then having issues, but we made it work.
Right on.
All right. So as we mentioned, the roundtable live stream will be on the 21st, and there's a link at 2 p.m. and there's a link in the show notes to get that converted to your time.
And anyone can join. Excuse me, Eric, but yes,
No, you're good.
we need to let people know anyone can join the roundtable, not just us. That's an open forum.
Yeah.
Right.
Hop
Yep.
on.
Please join.
Hop on.
We love
Discord.
having you on there.
Even if you don't have a camera, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you got a microphone, you can join the conversation.
Honestly, even that you can just join and text chat if
Yeah,
you
you can
want.
do
Like
that too.
you can do that too. But if you want to talk to us, just come on and do that. So the information for live streaming. I wanted to throw in that we have had people join in recently on the roundtable. So live stream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. And we'll do our wrap up. Joe, where can we find you?
Well, if you like the sound of my voice, you can catch me on a couple other podcasts. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show, which is tllts.org. I'm on Linux Lugcast, sometimes even with Eric. That's linuxlugcast.com. You can send me an email, jb@mintcast.org. You can buy me a coffee with Kofi. Don't forget, you can email all of us, mintcast@mintcast.org. Moss couldn't be here today. You want to hear from him, he's still doing Full Circle Weekly News. You can send him an email, moss@bodhilinux.com. He's on Mastodon at zyvola@hosthooks.social, and occasionally he puts out a show on HPR. Bill?
Well, you can email me. I'm bill@mintcast.org, bill_h on Discord, at WCHauser3, the number 3, at fostodon.org on that there Mastodon. Also, I'm on Linux OTC with Eric and Majid. Go check that show out. Majid couldn't be with us today. You can reach him. He's Dr. Majid at mintcast.org. He's at atypical_doctor at mastodon.social. Atypical Doctor on Instagram and Threads, and he's got the Atypical Doctor podcast and Linux OTC and Distro Hoppers Digest. Links to all those in the show notes. Eric?
Distro Hoppers Digest is back. I was just listening to that.
I've got to get episode 57. I'm going to, so help me God above, I will have it released and ready to listen to later today.
Did your son do the music for that too?
No, I haven't even heard the music to it yet. So the new music.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
No, he's just.
It sounded like something he might do. That's why. Yeah. All right. Well, you can get in touch with me. I'm pretty simple. I just go by eric@mintcast.org. And Charles couldn't be here. You can get in touch with him at charles@mintcast.org. He's Mr. PDX on Discord.
It's funny, you say that, eric@mintcast.org, but you got mentioned at least for what, 3 other shows on here already?
How do I have to be
So it's already
repetitive? I mean, you guys already said it.
Oh, okay.
And then myself last, you can reach me at jim@mintcast.org. I go by GNU2Linux on Discord, and I have a few episodes of my own podcast as the Linux Shortcut on YouTube.
Excellent. All right. Well, before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make Mintcast possible. Mr. Hauser for our audio editing and hosting the server, which runs our website maintenance, and the Nextcloud server on which we host our show notes and raw audio. Archive.org for hosting our audio files. Hobstar for our logo. InitRD for the animated Discord logo. Londoner for everything else. He does the time syncs and various other contributions, like a lot of the news stories and things like that. The Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about.
Thanks,
Clem.
And co. And we will see you next time. It's a wrap.
Thanks, everybody in the live stream. We will see you next